I'm a DJ boy, going to Dcentral, minting NFT, farming DeFi use, being crypto poor but JPEG rich.
I think my presentation was talked up a little bit. Definitely not super sweet, but it's a presentation nonetheless. And also, I didn't even know Altcoin Daily. Wow, they were up on stage right before me. It's a hard act to follow. So I will try my best, but I know it's not exactly a conversation topic that comes up every day. But for all of you guys in the Web3 space, right, the idea of privacy definitely is something that you should be considering right now. And I hope this presentation just kind of lets you understand a little better why it's such an important topic. And so I'm going to click, and it's not going to move. Perfect. All right, how's everyone doing today? Great, because I'm not doing so hot right now. Thank you so much. All right, cool. So, yeah. Okay. So, actually, I see what's happening. Actually, my slides are actually going over here. So if everyone wants to come up on stage and just look through here, then that's perfect. Thank you. That really calms my nerves. Yeah, it's just, now I'm in the same bucket as you are, so. Just kidding. Kind of. All right. Well, actually, who's to blame, right? I mean, blame game doesn't solve problems right now. Just trying to get through this. Everyone's working hard. It's lunchtime, so thank you guys for being here instead of at lunch. I think that already speaks to how important privacy is to you. Yeah, so appreciate it. All right, sweet. Thank you, because the less bright minds should get off stage right now. Yeah. Click. All right, this is like, what do you call those things where you, right? No. Okay. Oh, yeah, that one's that's me, hey, yeah, okay, so that's me. And that's my dog, Jumpy. And I started in the crypto space around 2011, and this is kind of a foray into it. I had actually started a cloud computing company at the time. And that kind of got me into Bitcoin mining because, all this infrastructure, learning about Bitcoin, mining, covering operational costs, it all made sense. Since that time, I've done a little bit more projects, a little bit of writing itself around 2018, right? For those of you that were kind of in the previous market, that's when things kind of died down a little. Decided to go pursue my MBA at MIT, and that's where I was the teaching assistant for all the blockchain courses at the business school. And for those of you that don't know, right, at that time, the professor of all these crypto courses was Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC. But anyway, since that time, I started working on Manta Network. That's where I met my co-founders, actually. So yeah, here to talk a little bit about privacy. There's at first I thought there's two people in the audience, but I think there's really three people in the audience. There's, the first people in the audience who don't really care at all and they're looking at their cell phones, no problem. Second people in the audience, right? You might care, but you don't really know why privacy is important. And so I think for just this quick talk that I'm having, hopefully by the end of it, you'll understand exactly why it's important, but not just important, but also kind of talking to the third person or the third category of people, why it's important for Web3. Right? Because at the fundamental level, yes, privacy should be a human right, but for most of us in the audience, right, we don't really understand exactly how our privacy is impacted on a day-to-day basis. The privacy problem isn't solved. Your wallet address, right, everything that you transact on chain, it's all linked. All it takes is one docs, and you're fully de-identified, right? And the problem with that is that blockchain's immutable. Things don't change. It's not like you can just click delete on a post that you just made, like on Twitter or Reddit, right? It stays forever. So it's embarrassing for you. It's going to be embarrassing for your children. It's going to be embarrassing for their grandchildren, right? This stuff is permanent. This is your family legacy that you're building right now for those of you guys that are, buying dick butts on OpenSea. And so, it becomes a really big problem. And that's kind of a very contrived example of exactly why Web3 adoption requires crypto, right? Because if you think about it, we all talk about growth, right? We want to expand. We want mainstream. We want, the normies to come in. What does that mean, right? Quantified, we hear a lot now. The next 1 billion users, right? But in order to get to that 1 billion users, you need much more use cases than DeFi yield staking or making 20% off your stablecoin because it ends up being a disaster, right? And so we can't achieve these use cases without privacy. And so let's take a look at some of the use cases that people are looking at right now. First is on-chain payroll. Okay, this sounds great because I know there's a TikTok movement right now for transparency on how much you're making and all that stuff, and it sounds great at a minute scale. But when you're talking to a Fortune 500 company, when you're talking to a company that has 500 employees, 5,000 employees, 10,000 employees, how are they going to think about their own employees' privacy and security? Right? When every single payroll that they make, their employees can just go back to the wallet address and see exactly how much everyone else is making. What are they going to do when their competitors are now looking at how much you're paying your employees and learning exactly how much they have to negotiate in offers just to take them off your shoulders? Right? There's a lot of side effects of full transparency on-chain that we haven't been able to solve, and on-chain privacy, right, that's the fundamental issue here, or lack thereof. NFT ownerships and loyalty. How many of you guys have linked your NFT onto Twitter? There you go. All right, one guy in the audience. You're fucked. Everyone else. Twitter is, a great degen community. I'm just kidding. We're both fucked. I mean, Twitter knows my data too. But first and foremost, it's a publicly traded company. And what does a publicly traded company do? As much altruism as there is in the world, right, their number one duty is their fiduciary duty to their stakeholders. And so why are they letting you connect your wallet address and your NFTs to Twitter? It's not because they want to be degens, right? It's because they're collecting data which they can then harvest to use for whatever purposes they want to in the future. Who knows, right? But we already clicked that terms and conditions, so it's too late for us. Well, it's too late for you, not for us. Good luck. Adult entertainment. I know this is a very contrived example, right? Because we don't really think about adult entertainment except in more of a taboo sense. But the reality is that adult entertainment drives a lot of technical innovation, right? And so we can't forget that about Web3 because it's not coming today, maybe, coming, haha, but it could be coming in the next few years. And I know there's already a lot of projects in this space looking more towards replacing quote unquote OnlyFans, right? But I probably don't have to talk to you about the privacy concerns of adult entertainment. On-chain voting. There was an emoji here, but it didn't show up. But that's fine, privacy. But for on-chain voting, right, it's very broken right now. It's a use case that we see on a daily basis. Basically, 90% of tokens have some sort of governance to it, right? But how can you get a community to vote when all of your votes are public? This is actually a problem that I hear a lot of founders have when they talk to their community. They get DMs from their community members, very, very large, loyal community members who say, hey, I'm really against this proposal, but I wanted you to know that, but I'm not gonna vote against it, right? There's no way I'm gonna go against the grain and then everyone sees that I was the one that voted against this proposal, right? So as a result, we have a broken on-chain democracy. And right now it sounds innocent because, we're just voting on new features on some decentralized exchange. But fast forward 5 to 10 years from now, what does that look like when we've got corrupt democracies trying to do on-chain voting and you see exactly, or your favorite president sees exactly who you voted for, right? This is a cause for concern. And so at the end of the day, all these sort of use cases I was talking about, on-chain privacy equals Web3 adoption. Because the more use cases that you can create, the more of a market you can capture. And because we can't create these use cases in more of a secure, fundamental sense, then we can't drive that adoption that we want. So what should adoption look like, right? Adoption in Web3, 2011, it's kind of when I started reading about it. 2008, Bitcoin comes out, right? Even before that, there were kind of more prototype versions. But adoption is slow. So we have to scale it out on a time frame. 5 to 10 years from now, what does that look like? We want global adoption, right? What does that mean? Quantify it, go back to 1 billion users. We want 1 billion users, maybe 3 billion users, right? I just read that we hit 8 billion people on the planet today, so thank you guys. But anyway, 1 billion users on chain without privacy, right? That's just a cause for exploitation. Because what used to be kind of, barriered by entities, centralized entities, now is accessible to anyone with an internet connection. And so what does this mean, right? Lack of privacy is equal to surveillance. I know surveillance is like, oh, it's a very maxi term and all that stuff, but you have to think about this. Your surveillance, right? Like whether you believe that your government is good or not doesn't matter at all here, because this level of surveillance is on a global scale. Because if you feel like, you don't want Russia monitoring you, well, hey, don't touch the blockchain then, right? Like, because now Russia will see exactly, how much you've donated to Ukraine, and maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't, who knows, right? Very contrived example, but the idea here is that surveillance, the implications of surveillance is no longer just about like, your own particular government, your own particular private company, right? It's about like literally anyone with an internet access. Blackmail. I'm not going to get into too much detail about that. You guys all know what blackmail is. Stalking. This is 5 to 10 years from now, right? We all want to say, oh, we just bought coffee at a Starbucks with Bitcoin, right? That's like kind of the golden age of crypto. Okay, that's great. By the way, now Kenny knows which Starbucks you're at, right? So like, I'm not a stalker. I'm a normal guy, so you're safe with me. But like other people, right? Like that guy. No, I'm just kidding. Just pointed to an empty seat. You can see exactly when an on-chain transaction happens, and now we're working on technologies to speed up on-chain transactions. And so without going into too much detail, the idea here is that as soon as something happens on-chain, 30 seconds, the world knows about it, right? And so now, how are you going to safely be able to buy your coffee at Starbucks without worrying about who is going to be following you around the next day? Unauthorized profiling. We've all heard of Cambridge Analytica, right? I mean, who likes Cambridge Analytica here? Raise your hand. No? Okay. I was hoping for one guy so I could call him out, but I guess not. Probably a guy from Cambridge Analytica. But now with blockchain, especially without privacy, literally anyone with an internet access is Cambridge Analytica, right? Anyone that has an internet access can collect as much data as they want on you, surveilling you across various different applications that you're using on chain. Oh, that was the laser pointer. Okay, and so without privacy, right, it brings everything dangerous about Web 2 into a Web 3 space and magnifies it. It's no longer about an institution like Facebook. Oh, I don't trust Facebook, I'll just get off of it. Well, you don't trust the internet. You're going to have to get off the internet because everything on chain is accessible to everyone right now. And so now that I've talked about exactly why privacy is so important, right? Like, now I hope you understand the gravity of the situation that we have here at Manta Network. We're working on on-chain privacy, and we're building out on-chain privacy for Web3 using zero-knowledge proofs. And so what does that mean? It means essentially that whenever you transact, the data still occurs on-chain, but that data is shielded with what's called a zero-knowledge proof. When you interact with an application, that interaction is still on-chain, and so you can have a decentralized application that also has privacy. And so at the end of the day, right, that's really bringing that security, that privacy, the fundamental human right, back to your shoulders. But the thing is, right, like, now's the time to work on it, because now is when we only have 3 or 4 use cases, right? Now is when we get to decide the direction of Web3. I think 5, 10 years from now, it's already too late. You've already gotten 5 or 10 years of your data already on chain, right? And so we can't go back in the past. So the next best time is now. Our team is pretty global. We've got people on the engineering and business side all around the world. And I just realized, people are taking a screenshot of that. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. And so right now, now that you understand exactly why privacy is important, not just for yourself, but also for the fate of Web3, I invite you to take some actions here. We are hiring. We've got an amazing team, and we're looking for more engineers, more on the business side. Follow us on social media. Actually, you can chat with me on Telegram. That's my Telegram right there. So just hit me up, send a DM, and thank you guys very much for paying attention, and I hope you have a nice lunch.